visits, a series of community outreaches just to sensitize the community more and also sensitize the inmates more on the services that we offer as legal aid that we have offered for the past 25 years and that we commit to continue offering as we continue serving. So that's some of the activities.
Thank you very much. This discussion is interesting and you can be part of it. We are streaming live on YouTube. You could go on YouTube and you search U24 television and you should send us your comments, your questions, or your contributions, and we shall be reading them later in the show. We're also streaming live on TikTok. We are on X and also on Facebook. Send us a comment, we shall be able to receive it. And on that, I want to go back to Dagan. We are speaking about a legal aid clinic. Common parlance, a clinic means you're sick and you go and see a doctor. What is it that you do at the clinic? And across the 25 years, what is it that you have concentrated on doing, and what have you achieved in those 25 years?
Thank you, Vian. When you ask about this element of the clinic, and if you may allow me, I always love taking people back to World War II, when the world was short of medical doctors. And they found that they could actually rely on students who were medical doctors, starting to become doctors, to be able to extend health services to the people who had been affected by the war. Now, when clinical legal education developed in the early 1940s in the Americas, because it started in America, they realized that universities and educational institutions could rely on students to come up with legal aid clinics under clinical legal education to dispense justice. And that's exactly where we fall into the legal aid clinic of the Law Development Center. Ideally, it was a French word called clinique. Yeah? So in the past 25 years, we've basically reached out to the community, telling them, look, we can help you bridge the gap between accessing justice and being in your communities. How is this done? As my colleague said, we undertake community outreaches. In these outreaches, just like we are live on TV, we reach out to local council leadership and ask them to give us access to their public or general community, to tell them that, look, you have a constitutional right to access legal advice, if let's say somebody is charged with a capital offense. But it isn't only when you're charged with a capital offense that you need legal advice. Most of the time you find that the day-to-day man is suffering from a lot of injustice. It could be a woman trying to fight for the livelihood of her children. It could be a widow trying to fight for the livelihood of her orphans who have been left by the widower, or even fighting for something as big as the matrimonial home being taken away. So to us to be able to achieve this protection, we rely not only on our advocates, but also on the different volunteers. Earlier I talked about how we dispense justice through the advocates at the clinic, but we also rely a lot on bar course students, then legal volunteers. These are people who have passed the bar course, but are still under the pupillage of the clinic, to be able to reach out to the community and deliver services. Then through this, we also have social workers, and it's something I hope we really get into depth with. Our major intervention among the many is we help juveniles. And juveniles are these people who are below the age of 18 who have probably come in contact and in conflict with the law. I use two words, in contact and in conflict with the law. In conflict, it means that the juvenile is now being brought to police for having committed an offense. And we rely on these social workers to make sure that at least at every police station around Kampala, at least, there is a social worker who will bridge that gap between that juvenile who wouldn't ideally be able to access a lawyer, to be able to bring it to our attention as, let's say, advocates, to see how best we can help them. And this is also extended to the remand homes, where we go seeking for these people who have either stayed on remand for a long period of time, or those that have just come into the system, to see how best do we get them out of the main system. And then this goes as far as the grand scheme of prisons, where we rely a lot on the Ugandan prison service under the Commissioner General, who has always been kind enough to open his doors to us to see that we can be able to reach out to these people. So when we talk about the successes, I think I would have to talk about successes for close to 25 years from now, because each and every day we register successes from people who are being able to recover their land, somebody coming to tell you that, council, look, my child or my daughter or my son has been released. Yeah, it is never short of challenges, but we are saying, look, we can help enhance that access to justice without you paying a penny. That I emphasize to the general public and the viewers that are out there. Ours is a quality service, but not paid for. Save for some few instances here and there where we might have to say, you've got to foot your own transportation costs to court. But when resources are there, we say, well, we can help facilitate your transport to court. Yeah. So the 25 years have registered not only successes, but challenges. But I believe the successes have been more than the challenges, and they continue to outshine the challenges.
Thank you very much. And that is interesting, because at this point, it means you who has struggled with legal fees and you are unable to meet such fees, you can be able to contact the Legal Aid Clinic for assistance. And tomorrow, as they have highlighted, it is at LDC. They will listen to your problem and tell you a solution at no fee. But Rebecca, he mentioned an aspect of relying on BACO students, and he also mentioned on clinical legal education. How is the clinic able to do that, to rely on BACO students at the same time they are learning and they also, how do they participate? What is their role?
So, like you said, clinical legal education is one of the, I don't want to say course units, but one of the things that we do at LDC. So it is integrated with the daily units that the students undertake. So here, the students are now, it bridges the gap between the theory that the students get in the classrooms and the practical aspect. So when they enroll and sign up for CLE, which is clinical legal education, so now we take them and guide them through the process of what the daily life of a lawyer out there would look like. So interviewing clients, it goes across drafting legal documents, advocacy, because they also get an opportunity to appear and represent some of these accused persons in court together with their supervisors so that they can polish that skill. So that is how the BACO students come into the picture. They are mentored and they get to see the out of classroom aspect. So they do what an ordinary lawyer would do on a daily basis. So at the time that they finish the BACOs, they are not like the ordinary student that has just gone through the theory. They have mastered both the theory and they have also picked up the practice, which is the most important thing, because then it enables them to become competent and confident. I want to say, like my colleague said, that there are so many successes. That is one of the successes that the Legal Aid Clinic has registered, the fact that it prepares BACO students to come out not just as BACO students, but as lawyers that are ready to dispense justice and represent in whatever capacity they may be pursuing. So that is how BACO students come into
Thank you. I
the picture.
wanted to follow up on that.
Yes.
I think medical students do a very good job in hospitals, but when you interact with patients, most of them will tell you that I don't want to be worked on by a medical student, yet they do a good job. So how do you ensure quality of these lawyers? You're saying they want to acquire skills, but also they are handling a case of a client. So how is quality assured in that process?
Yes, so like I mentioned, when they appear or when they're interfacing with clients, like you said, these are real life cases, so they are guided through that. So every student is assigned to a supervising advocate. These are people that are, it may be the senior legal officer or the legal officer, so people who have gained and are seasoned practitioners, so they've gained experience. So it's sort of like a mentorship journey. So they work with these BACO students supervise them. So every time before let's say a student appears in court, they have a debrief before, so the supervisor knows exactly what the student is going to do in court. If it's an interview, the student knows what exactly they are looking for from a client, and this is because of the guidance that's given by the legal officer or senior legal officer, and also the constant supervision. So that is how we ensure quality at the end of the day.
Thank you very much. You wanted to...
If I may add, and my colleague Rebecca has done robust justice to this. My nugget is, when we talk of student practitioners or the back of students, we've got to appreciate that we have a background rooted in the law under which they operate. As lawyers or as advocates across Uganda, we are all governed by the Advocates Act. And under this act, the Minister of Justice, together with the Chief Justice, they've been given permission and authority to create sub-regulations just like any other primary law. Among these is the Advocates Student Practice Regulations. So when the students are practicing, they're not on their own floric. They're actually under a tight supervision, and we always tell them, as my colleague agrees, that you're held at the same standard as an advocate who is probably 2 years into his practice. Because we appreciate that they don't appear in high court, they are restricted to the lower courts, and that's the magistrates' courts and the chief magistrates' courts. But for us as the staff of the clinic, we make that bit of intentional supervision to make sure that the service you would get in a high-end street farm is the same service you're going to get when you visit our clinic in Adjumani and you find there is a student. And we don't actually force these students onto the clients. They are required to actually give authorization to the students to represent them. And then that's when we bring in that bit of transparency. That if somebody believes they're not comfortable with being represented by a student practitioner, then we let the cases go to the advocates. But if we've robustly explained this role of the student practitioners, which I believe even some people within the health this area can struggle with, they get to appreciate that, look, we can rely a lot on student practitioners and even judiciary, because it opens its doors to them. We give them student practicing certificates that are issued by the director of the Law Development Center, just like the advocates practicing certificates that are granted by the Chief Registrar of High Court. So it is a robust kind of practice area. I wouldn't speak for the medical profession as to how they handle theirs, but ours is really, really intent on developing these practical skills for a day-to-day lawyer.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to come back to you, Rebecca, because you said that people will access your services without paying. I mean, how do you survive? How would you survive generally? And I want you to join that with other challenges that you face, not only the issue of survival, other challenges that you face in the goal of dispensing justice through legal aid.
Okay. So in the past, we have received funds and funding from a lot of donors. So we've run on donor funding. Currently, we are under judiciary, that is access to justice. And under this, that's where we continue to operate, especially because now the clinic is not running independent, but also functions under the LDC and the Law Development Center in general. So that is where we get most of our funding, and that is where we get the money that continues to keep us running. So technically, right now, we would be under government. That's what I would say. So that's where we get our funding from. Yeah.
Okay, then join that with other challenges. Are there other challenges anyway?
There are challenges. Like my colleague earlier said, the successes are there, but the successes do outweigh the challenges, but it doesn't take away the challenges. One of the challenges I would say is I have had the opportunity of being very, I've had the opportunity of representing and understanding juvenile justice. So while doing that, while engaging that area of practice, I have seen that not many people have understood, one, the law that governs the children, so they're not very child-friendly when it comes to language, when it comes to how the juveniles should be integrated in society after commission of offense or at the time of commission of offenses. So for me, one of the challenges I have seen, and which is both in the general public, but also something that you see with other advocates, sometimes a few judicial officers, is the lack of proper understanding of how juvenile justice works. The fact that we could finish matters at police through diversion while not opting for a full blast trial in court. The fact that the language that I would use while representing an accused person that is of age is different when we are addressing juvenile offenders, how we integrate them back into society. So for me, that's one of the challenges I have seen, that there's not a lot of understanding around juvenile justice. Yes.
That's an important point on that, and I think it is crucial because juvenile justice, in other prisons up country, you find they are detained together with old people and all that because people don't understand. But that's one challenge. How have you come to interact with the other challenges that you feel like there is need to do more?
Thank you very much. My first challenge would be when we look at the way we operate as the legal aid clinic under the big umbrella of legal aid service providers networks, for example, because the legal aid service providers network, LASPNet, is where we fall as the legal aid clinic of the Law Development Center. My first challenge would be although we have regulations under which we operate, which are the advocates' legal aid to indigent persons, our legal aid service provision would be enhanced if we had a main law under which we operated. And this would be against the backdrop of the discussion that has been in Parliament for about the last 5 years, which is the passing of the National Legal Aid Bill, which I believe government is working very tirelessly to make sure that they pass. That lack of regulatory framework that is robust bridges gaps in delivering services. There are areas where you would want the legal aid clinic of the Law Development Center to be, but they wouldn't. But it's against this backdrop that I believe if we had a robust legal framework, we would be able to at least have all the other legal aid service providers tap into a common basket to be able to find that we don't struggle with probably mobilization of resources. Then apart from that, we've got to appreciate the area or the country we operate in, the demography of our population. Most of them, and if I may, pardon me, are illiterate, for lack of a better word. Now, most of our laws are crafted in English. When my colleague points out that the common man doesn't understand what we mean by juvenile justice, you find that, and I thank the Uganda Law Reform Commission of late, it's translating these laws right from the Constitution all the way to the common man's laws into their local languages.
And that's important because most people don't know that, in fact, the Constitution, for example, is already translated in local languages.
For the viewers out there, I think I encourage you to always look out to your local council leaders, because, as I said, the Law Reform Commission of Uganda is trying as much as possible to extend some of these services to the common man. Recently, I had a very interesting discussion with one of the resident district commissioners who has taken it upon himself to buy localized legislation for his people everywhere he goes. If he finds himself in Karamoja, he will buy the Constitution and dispenses it to these people. So coming back to this challenge, you find that although people would love legal services, but they don't know where to find them. You find that somebody doesn't even know that ignorance of the law is not defense. And that all comes back to the main challenge we face as legal aid service providers. And that is the aspect of illiteracy. I believe, the law firms where you have to pay a lot of money would not struggle with this, because they would be dealing with at least semi-illiterate people. Yeah? Yeah. But those two are my biggest challenges. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now I want to go to the policy advocacy and systematic change. The system, out there people would think that you cannot get justice from the courts of Uganda, general belief. And yet, courts exist every day, they sit and they dispense justice. Some people are acquitted, if it is a criminal offense, others are convicted. But I also understand that under legal aid clinic, you do research, you have data, you look at cases, and from the cases you handle. So, Rebecca, what kind of policy advocacy that you do, and what do you, aspire to achieve in terms of systematic change, procedures, framework of the laws that we have? What is the policy advocacy that the legal aid clinic does in ensuring that there is an improvement in the general dispensation of justice?
Thank you. So one of the things that the legal aid clinic is big on is alternative mechanisms of access to justice. So this one helps to narrow down or to bring down the case backlog, which then makes access to justice easier and then faster. So one of the things that we do is our first remedy to a challenge that our clients may be faced with is, can we mediate this matter? Can we look at alternative ways of settling this that doesn't need to go to court? So one, then the client is able to be helped, one, faster, but then also they don't have to go through the entire system to get a remedy. This is also that would be in the civil area, but this is also something that we have carried on to the criminal justice. So we look more towards reconciliation and settlement, so that we can see that we are helping on the part of the bench to see that, one, there's no backlog on their end. Also on our part to see that we are able to, one, because results how we see that we are performing is by the results that we have. So the fact that we are able to settle more matters out of court, one, shows that there's a change in the system. People don't have to wait like it was in the days before. People believed in the lengthy court processes. Now you explain to someone the benefits that come with reconciliation, mediation, and all the other alternative means of accessing justice. So I think that is one thing that we have really mastered and that we continue to carry, that enables to change the system as it is now. But also, like my colleague had earlier said, when it comes to policy advocacy, we have been pushing for the legal aid bill. Like he said, it has been in Parliament for quite a while, and we continue to, through the research that you said we do, so the statistics that come from the numbers of the people that we represent, the numbers of the people that actually fall in the bracket of indigent persons that would need free legal aid services. So with those numbers, these are numbers and data that we present when it comes to, show the need of the legal aid bill. So I think that is those are the two major roles that we are playing when it comes to policy and changing systems.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. She gives us a good understanding of the advocacy and the policy, advocacy that you do. And especially I wanted you to highlight on diversion, because I think, as she says, that has been a child of LDC somehow, if I'm not mistaken. How about diversion?
Thank you very much, Vian. Diversion is basically diverting the child or this person who has come into conflict with the law. And I emphasize, when I say a child, ideally I would be using the term that everybody appreciates, which is a suspect or an accused person. But we've got to appreciate the vulnerability of a person below the age of 18. Yeah? So with diversion, we are saying rather than a child going through the mainstream prison, police, court system, which is, by the way, a very daunting experience, let's have this child be as it was in African traditional society, where a child wasn't brought up by only their parents, but by the whole community. Diversion is predominantly a brainchild of two institutions, and that is the Law Development Center under the Legal Aid Clinic, plus our stakeholders, mainly police. Working together with police, we were able to develop the police diversion guidelines. And it is through this that we actually appreciate having social workers at the different police stations. But when we look at diversion, it's not only from the bit of police, it starts from the grassroots. When I say grassroots, we have people across Uganda called fit persons. Now, these are people who have been identified amongst the whole magnitude of the population in Uganda, in some areas of Uganda, yeah? People who are above the age of 18, who have been appreciated to be individuals of a very high moral aptitude amongst the big population. So the local council leadership recommends elders at least every village level to be the people we call fit persons. Now the fit persons work together with the other group of people who we call peer leaders. When I talk about peers, we all know peers are basically people we basically interact with.
When we were studying, one of the points was peer pressure.
Peer pressure, yeah, exactly. Now that you say peer pressure, yeah, it helps drive the point home. Now, peer leaders are basically children below the age of 18 who, to some extent, behave better than the others. And the local council leadership has appreciated that they can actually have a very significant positive impact on these people who have come in conflict with the law. Now, what people don't know, the general public, is their cases, even before they come to police, should first be reported to local council leadership. Some of these offenses are provided for in the Children Act. Offenses like theft, affray, simple theft of basically somebody taking a coin of 500 shillings, which are some of those offenses that we see coming through amongst the young children. Yeah. Now we say those offenses should first be dealt with at the local council. The fit persons working together with the peer leaders can help locate the parents of these children, take them through that bit of counseling, because at times it's actually just a matter of counseling. A child is probably overwhelmed at home. They are looking for ways of survival. So when these people come in, then they can help. Then after the local council level, we look at police. That's when our social workers come in to say, although this is a very significant offense, let's say it's a capital offense, which ideally would be above the age of 12, because the viewers there would appreciate that criminal responsibility age in Uganda is 12. That means if a child below the age of 12 commits a murder, there is no way they're going to come to police. Yeah. So when the child is at police working with the social workers, we see that we can actually, again, rather than pushing them up straight into the system, divert them. But then there is also what we call court diversion. And this is when we note that even when the case is serious and it has moved to the court level, we come in and say, look, if this child is probably mixed with other serial children offenders, there is a chance of recidivism. Recidivism is when a child is probably taken to the National Rehabilitation Center in Kampiringsa. They interact with the hardcore children offenders. That child is likely to again reoffend when they come out. But we say, what if, rather than this child going to Kampiringsa, we run another significant milestone in our practices, which is tracing and resettling. These are all still under diversion. It is again one of those big areas that we talk about. So under tracing and resettlement, again we work with the advocates within the clinic, together with our social workers, to identify what could be the challenge of these children in their communities. And at times it could even be as bad as this child is an orphan, or the parents are there but they don't care. And that's when they come in to do that bit which we cannot do as legal counsel. And that is the psychosocial counseling aspect of them telling the parents that, look, at the end of it all, this is your child. We are always impressed by some judicial officers who will say, even before I think of diverting this child, can I see the parents? I'm willing to adjourn this matter to probably a week or so, secure for me the presence of the parents. And then when you get these parents into court, the judicial officer will ask, why are you not looking after your child? And of course, these stories at times are very interesting, and somebody says, well, the child ran away from my home. But the question is always, you as a parent, you have the constitutional responsibility to look after this child. So why are they offending, or why are they reoffending, yet you can actually look after them? And that's where we continue to come in with a bit of, let's divert.
Thank you very much. We have feedback coming in, but before I go to that feedback, I will be going to, after the feedback, we'll be going to Rebecca to tell us the future of legal aid in Uganda. Whether the legal aid clinic is going to stay, because as you said, you're pushing for some amendments, but there are also other amendments coming, including replacing the Law Development Center with the National Examination Center. So will you survive? And apart from that, the legal aid generally in Uganda, what is its future? Because not only the legal aid clinic at LDC exists, but there are also other legal service providers in Uganda. But I have some feedback coming in on YouTube. Opale Frank is appreciating the panel and is following. We have Josephine Agatha. She's equally following, and she appreciates the work of the panel. Again, Opale Frank thanks both Dagan and Rebecca for the holistic discussion about the legal aid clinic. We have Chichoncho Agnes, and he says, thank you, the panelists, for the good job. And indeed, they're also appreciating for standing up for justice to the children. So blessed by the beautiful discussion on the children. Thank you very much. Keep your comments coming through and keep the discussion alive. We'll be coming back to these comments later on. But now, permit me to go to Rebecca to tell us the future of legal aid in Uganda.
Yes, Vian. The legal aid clinic is not going anywhere. We are here to stay and to dispense justice. We have done this for the last 25 years, and we commit to continue doing the same for as long as we stand as the legal aid clinic. So, one, for clarity, we are still here. We are still here to serve the accused persons, the indigent persons, anyone that does not have access or cannot afford a lawyer, per se. So, but then we commit to growing. We are committed to becoming better and better as a legal aid service provider. So even in the midst of so many legal aid service providers, you have ULS, you have a wide range. It does not, one, being many doesn't take away from the service that we deliver. That's the beauty, that we are a number of people that are dispensing justice, or that are enabling people that are not able to access justice to actually access justice at the end of the day. So it doesn't scare us that there's a number of other people that are also delivering legal aid services. But for us, we commit to continue, because like my colleague said, we have presence not just in Kampala, but in different areas, everywhere where there's a campus, and also in the hard-to-reach areas. So this also shows our commitment to continue reaching the people that are not able to afford legal services. So for me, how I can conclude this is the clinic is here to stay, but also we commit to continue to grow in what we do, and to also increase and expand the coverage of the areas that we can reach and the number of people that we can be able to aid in access to justice.
So if from Kanungu, where I come from, deep down in Nyamirama sub-county, if someone wanted your services, what would he do?
One is we have we have a website that runs, but I'm now assuming that someone in Kanungu would not
has no internet,
has no internet or
that's
access.
A assumption, most likely.
Yes. So we have tried to have offices in the areas that are not everywhere, but in areas that are in deep need of legal aid. So if we are not yet in Kanungu, I can guarantee you that we are coming there soon. But also is that we have had the opportunity of appearing in some of these courts. For instance, we may not have physical presence in Kanungu, but I can tell you I have appeared in a court in Kanungu before. So the services that we offer are known to, let's say, court staff, judicial officers in those different courts, court clerks. So it's easy now to refer and recommend people to these, or to our offices and to the services that we offer, because we have been able to interact with different people in the different areas based on the court system. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Dagan, I want you to take us through tomorrow's program and who will qualify to receive your services tomorrow. Can I also qualify?
Thank you very much, Vian. Tomorrow is basically a National Legal Aid Open Day. We've been talking about the Legal Aid Clinic, but we've invited our partners. Remember when I said we operate under the Legal Aid Service Providers Network, LASPNet? We have other players in this legal aid arena, which, as you ask about the future of legal aid, we're not only looking at Legal Aid Clinic of the Law Development Center. We have groups like Justice Centers Uganda. We have the Foundation of Human Rights Initiative Uganda. We have our umbrella group, the Uganda Law Society Legal Aid Project, and quite a number, and again, FIDA. Yeah? So tomorrow will be a culmination of bringing all of us together so that we can be able to help the public see our services being dispensed with. Tomorrow's program is basically, we are starting with a walk at the High Court of Uganda Criminal Division. For those viewers who might not know where this building is, it's the building next to the tall 2 towers that harbor the Center of Justice in Uganda. That is the Supreme Court and Court of Appeal buildings, just next to Grand Imperial. Then we shall have the walk across through the city center all the way to the Law Development Center. But I urge the viewers and the public to look out for our mobilization truck, which I believe is going to transverse all municipalities and all hills of Kampala. Just like how in the traditional African systems, people would move around with bells telling them somebody is going to do this and that. We hope this truck will be able to attract people too, and know that we shall be at LDC. The stakeholders that are going to take part in this are not only legal aid service providers, because in the past we've always found it wise that as we provide legal aid services, we can also have the judiciary near the people. The chief worker is going to be a justice of the Court of Appeal, and she will be supported with by the chief registrar and other senior members of judiciary. So the public shouldn't expect to only listen to us as lawyers, but they should expect to listen to even the people who make the decisions that affect their day-to-day livelihood. But not only are we looking at judiciary and the legal aid service providers, they will also get to interact with our students. Again, it's not only LDC that engages students in the delivery of justice. Some universities, for example, Makerere and the Public Interest Legal Aid Clinic, PILAC, they have students who are coming to join us. So it is going to be a magnitude of basically the would-be legal aid providers across the country. Now, lastly, to address that bit of who qualifies, tomorrow everybody qualifies. Everybody in Uganda tomorrow qualifies to get our services. Now, when I say tomorrow everybody qualifies, after tomorrow, then it changes. Because remember when I started by saying we have a mandate to help the accused persons and the indigent persons. When we are delivering legal aid under the Advocates Legal Aid to Indigent Person Regulations, we have a test we apply, which is the means and merit test, to see is this the means and merit test. To simplify it, the means is, do you have the means to pay a lawyer? The merit is your case coming to court as a wastage of time or a wastage of court process? That is basically the bottleneck of, you're not going to take a resource from this person who deserves it more just because you feel your case should be in court. Yeah? So when we subject people to this case, this test, that's when we can be able to identify that this person is our client and we can continue with them. The moment we fail, and for the viewers out there, those are the people, and you shouldn't always be mad about it. Those are the people we ask to go to law firms or to other institutions to seek justice. Yeah, so we invite the general public tomorrow. The Grand National Open Day will be at the Law Development Center grounds in Kaguguwe along Gaddafi Road. For those who don't know where LDC is, the moment you get off Ham Towers in Makere and you go down towards Chiseka, it is on your right opposite the SDA church. Yeah, and we urge the public that even when it isn't the National Legal Aid Day, our offices are always open, not only in Kampala, but in Mbarara, Mbale, Lira, Adjumani, Masindi, Kawarole, and as she said, the courts always refer. Yeah, we have a telephone number which is readily available, and if called between 8 to 5 is always available. And with your permission, I could give it to the general public.
Yeah, please proceed.
Our telephone number is 032-330-3969. I repeat, 032-330-969. And I encourage the public to always call in so that they can be able to be helped. It's manned by different languages. We always have somebody to help you, no matter which language. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dagan. That has been really satisfying. Now I'll come with you, Rebecca, to give us your last remarks as we come to the conclusion. Apologies to the people online. I can see many comments coming through, but time is not our best ally. So permit me get the last remarks from our panelists as we come to the conclusion of this show. Over to you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Vian. My parting shots would be, the Legal Aid Clinic is very open and we are always ready to help, ready to provide counsel, ready to assist in any way that any person would need, as long as, like my colleague said, they meet the means and merit tests. So feel free to call on the number that he has just read out, or reach our offices that are located still at LDC. Otherwise, it is such an opportunity, one, to serve the people generally and to serve with the Legal Aid Clinic.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Over to you, Dagan.
Thank you. My parting shot is basically an appreciation to the colleagues I work with, and these are the people I would say who are always at the forefront. Even when they are called at 8 a.m. that there's a juvenile probably stuck in a police cell somewhere in Kabalagala, they will rush. But then again, I also thank the leadership of the Law Development Center that has given us this opportunity to flourish and be able to serve the community. And this goes without notice. We thank our stakeholders, police, prisons, judiciary, and the leadership of the Ministry of Justice, because it is through them that we've been able to reach out to everybody. I encourage the public to make sure that you utilize the opportunity that has been given to you, and that is access to quality, free legal services provided by professional, ethical individuals. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, our dear viewers, for tuning in to U24 television. This was the Checkpoint program, and this evening we are discussing making access to justice a constitutional reality. 25 years of the Law Development Center, Legal Aid Clinic, and clinical legal education. With me, I had Dagan Omwesiga, who is a lawyer from the Legal Aid Clinic of the Law Development Center. I also had Rebecca Grace Mulungi, who is also a lawyer from the Legal Aid Clinic of the Law Development Center. And me, I'm John Viana Yebare, the host for this show for this evening. And the Checkpoint comes to you every Tuesday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Coming up is U24